event is being live streamed as well, so hopefully you will be able to share it like we will. It will be on LinkedIn, YouTube, um, Twitter, and all those other sites. So you can reach those right through our website, and it'll take you to those social media platforms. So please share the information. I'm Antoine Thompson, CEO, Executive Director of Greater Washington Region Clean Cities. Excited for you all to be with us. A lot is happening in the EV industry, electric vehicles. So much is happening. I will say that if you're not a member of Greater Washington Region Clean Cities, we'd love for you to join today, become a member. We're doing a lot with electric vehicles around education, ride and drives, and festivals, and all, you name it, policy issues. But we're here today to talk about EV 101. Laurel's going to do a great job. I'm just wanted to say thank you for showing up. We are doing these pretty much on a monthly basis, but we're also doing them in person as well. If you'd like for us to bring our team out to your neighborhood organization, faith-based organization, if you got a conference going on, you name it, we will be there either in person or virtual. I also want to thank Ron and all of our drivers who have been working on this for so many years. And there's so much misinformation about electric vehicles out there. Every time we table at an event, which we probably will table at least 50 to 70 events this year, where there's no shortage of questions and stuff like that. So we're really excited. Laurel will talk about some of the programs that we have. We do have a workplace charging program called Empower. So if you work at a place or you own a business and you got workers, we'd love for you to sign the pledge as well for our Empower program. If you are an employee, you can get your company to sign that workplace charging pledge, which is going to be big challenge as we move forward. And so we actually will give the a company $250 just for signing the workplace charging pledge. And if they install, or if they've already got them installed, they can get $500, $250 at first, and then once the our program partners say it's okay, we'll give them another $250 if they already have charging started. So it's a pledge. They don't have to actually install, but it's a pledge that they understand the spirit of it. And if they do install, they've already installed, we will celebrate them. And then we actually give them a nice certificate at the end as well, that they are a supporter of Empower of workplace charging, so that, and we're really trying to get those in some of the disadvantaged communities as well. So all over, but this particular program rewards even bigger when we get them in disadvantaged communities. So I want to thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Laurel. We will be doing some events around with electric vehicles for April. And so hopefully you all will come out for our Green Drinks Happy Hour on April 17th, I think it is. And and then we'll talk about some other good things. But Laurel, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
Great, thank you. Let me just share my screen. Okay. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all having a great evening. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to EV 101. Can everyone see my screen? I don't know why that is drawn on there. That's new. That was not. Oh, okay. Everyone can see my screen? Yes? Great. Okay.
Yes.
Welcome to EV 101. This is just a quick presentation so that everyone can kind of be on the same page about electric vehicles. So first and foremost, a bit about electric vehicles and their benefits. EVs offer efficient, cleaner alternatives to gas and diesel vehicles. They can charge while the driver does other things, which is part of the reason that the Empower Workplace Charging program is so important. And charging while you do other things saves time on trips to the gas station. And additionally, many states and cities offer incentives for purchasing electric vehicles, such as tax credits, rebate programs, and lower upfront costs. So what type of electric vehicles are there? So when I say electric vehicles, that's a broad term to describe three different types. There are battery electric vehicles, or BEVs. They're fully electric and rechargeable battery-powered system. They can get 100 to 400 miles on a single charge. They have no tailpipe emissions, and they have regenerative braking. For those of you who don't know, regenerative braking is when if you brake, it helps charge your battery. The next type of electric vehicle is a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, or a PHEV. Plug-in hybrids have both gas and electric capability, which increases their fuel efficiency, resulting in lower tailpipe emissions. They can get about 50 miles from electricity, and they also have regenerative braking. Last, we have hybrid electric vehicles, or HEVs. They're equipped with both gas and electric capabilities, increasing their fuel efficiency, and they have an internal battery, but they do not recharge with a charging station, and they also have regenerative braking. So we like to talk about all the different types of electric vehicles. Tesla has a pretty big stake in the market, but we do want people to know that there are a lot of different types of electric vehicles. The car companies are releasing new models all the time. There are some that are more affordable than Tesla, and quite a few of these you can use the national tax incentives on. So just something to think about. There are a bunch of different types of electric vehicles out there, so you can find something ideally in your price range and something that works for you. So speaking of tax credits, you can find more information about tax credits at the U.S. Department of Energy Alternative Fuels Data Center. You can search for different tax credits by the state or region that you reside in, and that's a really great resource if you're looking to save some money on your electric vehicle. You can also learn more about the IRS Clean Vehicle Tax Credit. The Clean Vehicle Tax Credit says that for new cars, says that you may qualify for a credit up to $7,500 under Internal Revenue Code 30D if you buy a new qualified plug-in EV. And just so you all know, as of January 1st of 2024, the types of cars that qualify for the tax credit were reduced, but because of the Made in America rule, but new cars are being added every day. So just keep an eye out for the cars that are still included under this tax credit. You can use this tax credit if you buy it for your own use or not for resale. If you use it primarily in the US and your modified adjusted gross income may not exceed $300,000 for married couples filing jointly, $225,000 for heads of households, or $150,000 for all other filers. You can find information about that at this link or using the QR code. So there's also a pre-owned tax credit for a clean vehicle tax credit, which it can provide a credit of up to $4,000 for the purchase of a pre-owned EV bought in 2023 or after. Eligible vehicles must be of model year at least 2 years prior to the year of purchase and may not have a purchase price above $25,000. So really, you can get a used EV using this $4,000 credit for, $20,000. And that's just if you get an EV at the top of the price, but you can get one for a pretty affordable price if you get one used. And then the gross annual income requirements are $150,000 for joint filers, $112,500 for head of household, and $75,000 for single filers. So as I mentioned before, the number of vehicles that qualify under the clean fuels or clean vehicle tax credit was reduced at the beginning of the year. It depends on several factors, including the MSRP, its final assembly location, which has to be the US, battery component and or critical mineral sourcing, and your modified adjusted gross income. And also, just so you know, beginning January 1st, clean vehicle tax credits must be initiated and approved at the time of sale. So this is something that's good to know, and definitely do your research about prices wherever you're at. There are some dealers who are trying to raise the price of vehicles to exactly match the tax credit. So really make sure that you are getting the necessary price in order for the tax credit to be beneficial to you, and just know that you have to bring it up at point of sale. And sometimes maybe the dealer might not know about the point of sale rule, so just make sure that you go prepared. And you're advised to obtain a copy of the IRS's confirmation that a time of sale report was submitted successfully by the dealer. You can find all of that information on the IRS website. Here are some examples of vehicles that are included under the Clean Fuels Tax Credit. There's Ford, Jeep, Chevrolet, Chrysler, Lincoln. More are being added all the time. So now we're going to talk about chargers. There are 3 different types of chargers on the market at the moment. There is a level 1 charger, which is at-home private charging, and it's equipped for a standard outlet. It's pretty slow, so it only adds about 2 to 5 miles of range per hour of charging, and it can be upwards of 40 hours, but it is pretty efficient for a plug-in hybrid. But it is good to know that that option isn't going to be the fastest option. The next type of charger is a level 2 charger. It's the most common charger that you'll see out on the street, and it adds 10 to 30 miles of range per hour of charging, and it takes about 4 to 10 hours for a full charge. The next level is a level 3 or DC fast charger. It's the fastest and most efficient, and it can add 100 to 200 miles of range in as little as 30 minutes. But these ones you aren't going to see out quite yet. They're still working on getting them into commission, but in the future, there will definitely be more. Level 2 chargers are the most commonly used for public infrastructure. It's particularly in the region. And you can get a level 2 charger at your home, but you just have to work with your electric company to make sure that your grid is updated enough to have a level 2 charger at your home. So this is another reason that electric vehicles are important. It isn't just to save money on gas and maintenance costs, which is 100% true. The maintenance and the gas is definitely a great incentive, but electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids help tackle the largest contributor of US greenhouse gas emissions, which is transportation. That's almost 30% of the US's greenhouse gas emissions. And so if we can really tackle reducing our transportation footprint, then we can reduce a lot of our emissions. And improved air quality from battery electric vehicles, which approve 0 greenhouse gas emissions, and plug-in hybrids, which emit much lower gas emissions, are also beneficial for community health. So not only does clean energy pose environmental benefits, but it can also improve community health and racial environmental health disparities. Underserved communities tend to experience disproportionate health risks such as asthma, cancer, and other respiratory illnesses at a higher rate. And gas and diesel are directly connected to those health risks. And it typically happens where, a low-income community, Black and brown communities, rural communities live close to highways, and where people are idling, stuck in traffic, and those greenhouse gas emissions are making people sick. So not only are EVs good for your pockets, not only are EVs good for the planet and the climate crisis, but they're also good for public health. And the wide-scale electrification of vehicles those beneficial health impacts can be seen through the adoption of the Clean Trucks Act in Maryland, for example. So what is GWRCCC doing? We have quite a few EV programs going on. Alongside advocacy and outreach, as Antoine mentioned, we're always going out and trying to spread the word about clean transportation and electric vehicles and other alternative fuels. But we have a couple programs that you can use right now. So first and foremost, we have the Mid-Atlantic Electrification Partnership, or the MAEP. This program allows you to suggest locations in your neighborhood for a level 2 public EV charger. So if you're interested, you can go to our website, gwrccc.org/Mid-Atlantic Electrification Partnership. It's under programs on our website. And if you can think of a location at, a grocery store, a community center, a faith-based organization, a potentially parking lot, we have to get permission from the owners of the places, but if you can think of a good place, please let us know. And next, as Antoine already mentioned, we have the Empower Workplace Charging Program. By signing this pledge, it is non-binding, it's not time-binding, but you are saying that you're interested in implementing workplace charging at your place of work. And just by signing the pledge, you receive $250. And then after you put in your charger, you will receive another $250. And this program also helps you with wraparound services to get the charger in the ground. So if you're interested in that, you can also find that information on our website, gwrccc.org/empower program. I also think I forgot to add, going back to tax incentives, you can get tax incentives for getting a charger at your home. There are quite a few electric companies who provide tax incentives or other types of incentives to install a level 2 charger at your home. And you can find those incentives at the Alternative Fuels Data Center, or the AFDC, that I mentioned earlier. Last, here are some additional resources. So again, many states and cities offer financial incentives and tax credits, so you can look by region, not just national incentives. And again, you can go to the afdc.energy.gov/laws, and they have a map where you can choose on the map where you want to look. If you are interested in getting an EV charger, you can go to our website and look at our GWRCCC EV resources list. And that is a list of our members that are EV vendors, EV charging vendors, EV contractors, EV consultants, EV charging installers. They work in fleet management, and there's other resources as well. And thank you so much for being here today. We're really excited that you're all here. Please take out your phone and follow us on either Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, or TikTok. We're always posting relevant information. We're always hosting events about not just electric vehicles, but other clean alternative fuels. We have networking events, we have community outreach events. And so if you're interested in this space, we hope that you'll follow us on social media. We also hope that you'll join us at another event in the future. Any questions?
I think that's the cue to bring on Mr. Ronald. So why don't you introduce him, Laurel?
All right. So our next speaker is Ronald Kaltenbaugh. For more than a decade, Mr. Kaltenbaugh's passion has been working as an advocate for action on climate change, and a key focus of his work has been on EVs and renewable energy. Mr. Kaltenbaugh was one of the early advocates for Frederick, Maryland and Frederick County, Maryland, adopting a climate emergency declaration. He served as chair for the Energy, Transportation, and Building subgroup of the Frederick Climate Emergency Mobilization Work Group, and he is now a subject matter expert on the Electrification for Mobilized Frederick, a nonprofit group. And Mr. Carlton Bott is the president of the Electric Vehicle Association of Greater Washington, D.C., or EVADC, and I will let you take it from here.
Thank you. It's good to be here. So I'm here as with a variety of hats on. I'm an EV driver and have been since 2012. So my wife and I have more than a decade of driving EVs, and that's a lot of time to learn the ropes as it goes. And also as an advocate for both EVs for lots of reasons. As mentioned in the introductory presentation there, health and climate change are a big part of that. Another big part is just the better driving experience. So I think the main focus this evening is going to answer questions, but let me just mention a few things. I'm going to go back to charging. It was mentioned about level 1 charging being slow, and it is, but it's all about context. So one of the things that you need to understand when you're charging is what's the right tool for the right situation. And so, as was mentioned, level 1 is great if you're a plug-in hybrid and you have 20, 30 mile range. You can easily charge overnight. But even for a full-blown EV, it can be helpful. Let's say you go to the beach for the weekend and your car is sitting there in an Airbnb and there's an outlet. Plug the car in and it can charge up over the weekend. Even a large battery car that's down to almost zero can charge over the weekend while it's just sitting there. So there are places where it works even for full EVs. Also, on the level 3 charging, there's the networks for this are growing rapidly. Tesla has a large network that currently, for the most part, is for Tesla vehicles, but they are opening that up to more vehicles, and that's happening in 2024 and into 2025. So you've probably seen the Tesla chargers and maybe not realize it if you don't have one. But there are, I think we're approaching 20,000 stalls at approximately almost 2,000 locations across the US and Canada. So that's a huge network that will be open to more than just Tesla drivers going forward over time, over the next few months to the next year or two, depending on getting to the whole network. There's also something called Electrify America. This is money that VW had to spend because of the Dieselgate scandal, and they have a large charging network. So one of the ways to find these chargers is something called PlugShare. PlugShare is an app for your smartphone. It's also a website, and you can go to PlugShare and put in your address, put on your location. It'll show you the chargers nearby. One of the cool aspects of PlugShare is you can tell it what kind of car you have, and it'll tell you if the charger is compatible with your vehicle. It also has a number from 1 to 10 that users of the system rate the chargers. So you know that if a charger gets a 10, it's reliable. You can count on it. If it gets a 1, it might be okay. It might work for you, but I wouldn't count on it, if you really have to have a charge. So that rating system really helps find good, reliable chargers and give you information about, where it's at. Sometimes the chargers are kind of like off to the side or behind the building. You may not realize it. There'll be, end user comments there to help you. So that's a great tool in finding charging. And even if you're not an EV driver today, maybe you want to look around and see, will this work for me? Are there chargers near where I shop and work and travel? It's a great place to do some exploring there. So, and the last thing I'll mention about the EV experience is just the biggest concern we see people have is road trips and travel. As you can tell from my background picture, I'm a skier, and I've been to New England several times in the EV. And now my wife and I have a Chevy Bolt and a Tesla Model 3. The Tesla is what goes to Vermont, and it works out great. And we can, if people are interested in long distance travel, we can dive into that more later. But the main thing about long distance travel in an EV is you need to plan a little more. If you plan feeding your car when you feed yourself, you generally be in good shape. But again, we've had people have questions in that area. We'll get into it in more detail. So with that, I think it's probably best just to see what you're interested in and open it up for questions.
I do. Sorry, I thought I saw some questions in the chat. Never mind.
I did want to make one quick announcement for folks as well. Um, can you all talk a little bit about the incentives as well? Because a lot of folks have been asking about how the new incentives work. If either of you can share that. And then also, Laurel, could you share with them about the Drive Electric DC initiative if anyone wants to get involved with that as well in a new website?
Well, I'll take the first one, then Laurel, if you can take the second one there if you want.
Right.
Basically, with the various legislation that's passed in the previous Congress, the EV incentives at the federal level changed. They were based on by manufacturers, numbers of vehicles sold, but now it's changed to where it's based on, there's two pieces to it. One is based on material content and manufacturing locations. And basically one of the goals of the incentives going forward at the federal level is to build a manufacturing base for electric vehicles and batteries in North America, in the US, but also in friendly trading partners. And this is an economic development aspect to it that people can argue about whether it's good or bad. I think it has good aspects to it. It does, though, create a wrinkle in that not all vehicles are going to qualify right away for the program. And in the earlier slides, there were some links to where you can go to fuelconomy.gov or the IRS websites and find a list of what vehicles are available that qualify for the program. And so depending on the nature of the vehicle, you may qualify for one half of it or both halves, so either $3,750 or a full $7,500, and that is a tax credit. So off your taxes. It does have to be taken inside of 1 year, so you can't, if your tax liability is not the full amount, you can't like save some of it for later. And there is the other thing that's new is as was mentioned, there's a used tax credit. Used vehicles have to go through a dealer, and there's various income limits and pricing limits that are available on the IRS website. There is one loophole in this, in that if you lease a vehicle, I don't think this has been closed. Last I saw, this was still the case. You can actually get the credits, even if it doesn't meet the other criteria. So leasing may be an option that gets you access to the credits for a vehicle that doesn't particularly qualify. But you have to be careful and make sure that the dealer you're leasing from passes through that savings to you and doesn't just take it for themselves. So there are some tricky things there you have to watch for. And I'll turn it over to somebody else to talk about the DC initiative there.
Great, yeah. So I did want to let everyone know about this other resource that we recently launched. Also, Ron, someone's wondering if you can share your organization's website.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing that now.
But I did just want to take a quick second to show everyone our Drive Electric DC, which is a new program that we started. So I'll share my screen real quick. So this is Drive Electric DC. This is a resource for businesses and private citizens to use just to learn more about driving electric. There are quite a few resources on here. You can just get a quick rundown about electric vehicles. Let me click on it. Why electric vehicles, the different types, more about regenerative braking. There's a couple resources here about how to choose an electric vehicle. There's also this community resources page. and business resources as well, which is where we also list our EV resources list, the GWRCCC resources list, and more. We are working on putting together a working group for Drive Electric. So if you are interested in knowing more about it, you can shoot me an email, and I'll put my email in the chat. But if you're interested in electric vehicles, if you're interested in electric vehicle infrastructure, if you work in electric vehicle infrastructure in the region and you want to be involved, please let me know.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll be promoting that site a lot more as well and adding more tools and resources on there. We do get a lot of content. Some of the other clean cities around the country that have been part of Drive Electric USA for a while have a little more resources on their page. But we are playing catch up, and we're going to be a leader. And so we want to grow that. And some of them have a lot of dealers involved and everything. We have a long way to go to get EV adoption where it needs to be. We're still well below, well, it's about 10% now, but there's big gaps between some areas are doing well in our region, some areas are not doing as well. But I think with all the incentives, there's a lot of questions. So let people know about the website, and we'll be doing more on our part to make sure it's branded on more of our collateral and materials, and we're driving more traffic to that as well. So any other questions? I think I saw something in the chat. Okay, Laura just put her email. Well, any more questions before we go? Ron, you were going to say something?
Yeah, one comment there about adoption. One of the challenges with EV adoption is um, just the price of new cars in general, EVs or not. And so there's a huge portion of the population that doesn't and can't buy a new vehicle. They're in the used car market always. And with EVs being so relatively new, the used market isn't as robust for EVs as it is for gasoline cars. So it's going to take a little time to have, and so right now you've got a lot more choice for new EVs than you did even just a couple years ago. You now have some trucks. Jeep has their 4xe, which is a plug-in Jeep, which apparently I haven't been in one myself, but Jeep people who do off-roading, that low-end torque of an electric motor is great for rock crawling. But that's only available as a new vehicle. It hasn't been out to be available used. So as we go along and we have more and more people buying new and then trading in and having used vehicles available, it will allow more people access to EVs that just don't today because they're not in the new car market. So that's one of the things to think about. It's going to take a little time for the breadth of models to be out there in the used space.
Sweet, sweet. All
Hey,
right.
Antoine.
I saw, yes.
Hey, this is first of all, thanks for having this, and this is so for me very. The information is valuable, and the momentum is picking up. So your hard work is paying off.
Thank you.
Um, so Ron, I own a children's um, car company that teaches children about safe driving, but also we utilize EVs and we teach children about EVs. First of all, I'm available to help in any way possible from an education standpoint. So I want to offer that. But one of the challenges I found is resources to educate children on EVs. Are you aware of any resources that are out there?
Yeah,
Oh, I was going to say, one of the things we do at EVADC is and one of our members come up with this idea about 6 months before the pandemic. So we got some disruption there, but we actually go out to schools and do school events. So we're always looking for teachers. It's oftentimes a science teacher, but not always, to basically coordinate an event. It could be for an individual class, but it could be where it's done over lunchtime and the kids come out during their lunch break in groups and we have a bunch of cars to show. Increasingly, there's going to be a teacher or two that also has an EV, so there might be one of their vehicles along with ours, and it can be an informal show and tell where the kids just see the cars and just to get to ask questions. Sometimes we'll do a program where the teacher comes up with a list of questions, and the students are supposed to ask people displaying their cars or look at the cars and fill out a little questionnaire as a learning exercise. I've also done it where I've done a presentation on EVs to the students. So that's one thing that we're available to do. And the biggest challenge for us is just lead time, because we're all volunteers who have day jobs.
And we appreciate all the time that you all give to this movement and mission for electric vehicles. So thank you for that. I also wanted to mention that our office, we participate in a number of activities as well. We have a Future Learning Leaders program. In fact, yesterday we were speaking to students at Columbia Heights Educational Campus in DC. And so we love, in fact, Ron, we might want you all to come out as a group and speak to some of the students and next month when we go back out as well. But yeah, we do that. We have been at a number of youth-related activities, everything from school supply giveaways to turkey giveaways to block parties to National Night Out to uh, uh, you name it, with vehicles, with just pamphlets. We also have a coloring book as well that does have some information on electric vehicles. Some of our partners actually have coloring books on electric school buses we've given out too. And we can always do more. Uh, we will this year, and I'm going to hold you to that because we got three things I want to mention to all of you. One is we're going to be at different faith-based organizations and shopping centers once a month for the rest of the year, at least once a month. And they'll be alternate. One month will be at a shopping center, the other month will be at a church with some electric vehicles and other vehicles. We will also be doing an event in June at Howard University, an Environmental Justice Summit. So we will have some vehicles out there. We'd love to have some for the community as well. Excuse me. Then um, in August, we're just working on the site. And then we have a ton of other things we're partnering on all over the region. So I'll make sure we'll make sure as we've done with Ron, but I will make sure that for our youth, because when the kids come, the parents come, right? So this would be a great partnership because the parents have the money, right? So we're gonna make sure we get you out there with us. So we're working on a green expo that will be in Prince George's County. We're just working on a site. It will be in August. It will have vehicles, but also have consumer products and home products and everything, like building products and stuff like that. Be a green expo. So if you want to be involved with that, let us know. We'll start meeting sometime in 2 weeks. But we're just pinning down the site, and we should be able to announce that shortly. And then, as always, Drive Electric Week in September, and we'll be doing some events. And at least one of our events is always around kids, but we were involved with 2 or 3 school supply giveaways last year, and we had some vehicles out at those events. We're looking to be involved with about 8 of those, and the kids and their parents love it when we bring the vehicles out there. So we give away book bags and school supplies, and we're going to be involved with probably somewhere between 6 to 8 of those in August. So that's a great way for you all to bring some vehicles out there for the kids. Okay, so we have a ton of events with vehicle deployment, showcasing, static displays, and also allowing people to ride and drive as well. So I just want to share those. We'll have a calendar never-ending calendar for the year, but I want to share some of those kind of top line events that we have coming up so you can start thinking about how you can get involved. Okay?
Yeah, and having the kids involved is great. We had a student member who is now he's actually went off to college, but he joined us when he was I think he may have been in ninth grade. He was interested in EVs, and by the time he went off to college, he had convinced his parents to get rid of both their gas cars and go all EV. So the children can lead us. And this is an example. He was also one of the students. There were a lot of students in Montgomery County that really pressed hard for the county to adopt electric school buses. And so Montgomery County, after initially kind of not being interested in it, is now a leader in the nation in deploying electric school buses. And a lot of that push came from students. So it's important to get kids out there. And another event I'll mention coming up in the spring here, Rockville has their Rockville Science Day is coming up in April. I think it's the 20th. It'll be on our calendar. But just look for Rockville Science Day. We've been going to that event for decades, and we get a spot with our EVs, and we're kind of on the path into the event. And it's a great place to bring kids out to, from model rockets to robots to EVs to just all kinds of stuff. It's just a great way to get kids engaged in science and seeing all kinds of things, and then bring their parents so they can get engaged too. So that's one I'll highlight that's kid focused.
All
And
right.
put my email in
Laurel.
the chat there. So I'm not sure who SA is, but if you want to reach out, my email's there, and we can talk more about kid events and the like.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you, Antoine, also.
All right. I see the ride and drive at the Clarksburg Premium Outlets. Does that come with gift cards too? No, all right. So, all right. Well, Laurel, anything else before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all. We will be hosting these in person as well. And we will be last week I was at one of the ANC meetings in DC. So we will be meeting with a number of community organizations as well. And from time to time, if you want to participate in any of those forums as well, or if there's a group that you think we need to talk with, feel free to do that. Without further ado, thank you all. We're going to give you back the rest of your night. Stay safe.
Thanks, everybody, for coming out.